and welcome to Krayden's Right.
I'm your host, David Krayden, and what is this channel all about? Well, it's about a lot of things, but it's really about letting you, the viewer, know what's going on in Ottawa and in Canada, and often in the United States and around the world as well. I've spent my career in the media, and I bring 30 years plus experience to this hosting role, and it's been a real pleasure doing this on YouTube. I'm going to keep doing it because we need to talk about some issues that the mainstream media doesn't want to talk about. So what is Krayden's Right? Well, it's primarily a channel with a lot of options. And we have Stand on Guard, for instance, is my weekly show. So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need political change, but we also need to resolve to resist. We do it Thursday, sometimes Friday, but that's usually about 20 to 30 minutes. It's a weekly wrap up of some of the stories I've covered and some of the stories that are breaking that day and that week that you need to know about. And you'll get a perspective that you won't get otherwise or elsewhere. I think it's also important to mention that I do a lot of interviews. Interviews, I always say, are the bread and butter of good journalism. We got to talk to people and find out what they think and what they have to say. And I don't just talk to people who are necessarily in the ideological same stream as me. I want to hear what people are saying about what's interesting out there. I've interviewed people as diverse as Seymour Hersh, for instance. I spent years in the military, and he was one of those reporters who said, "Stay away from Seymour Hersh because he asked too many questions about the military, too many impertinent questions." Well, he's asking a lot of very good questions, and I've interviewed Seymour now twice, and you can watch the interview on here. I've interviewed Naomi Wolf, somebody who I would never have thought I had common cause with, but she's done some very dramatic and tremendous work on a number of issues. I've interviewed politicians like Maxime Bernier, Michael Cooper, and others, and these are important assets to the Krayden's Right channel. Now, we also do a Take 5. When there's a pressing issue, when there's a story that needs to be reported instantly, right away, I'm there with a Take 5. It's about 5 to 7 minutes long. Tells you what the issue is. I might provide some clips, some context, but Take 5, we do those frequently. And we do them more frequently as the news tempo increases, and it never seems to slow down. We also do the short shift political clips. And these are usually clips from the House of Commons, but sometimes interviews with politicians, with the Prime Minister, with the opposition leader. And these are always interesting to watch because you don't always get the best part of the interview or the best part of the speech on the evening news or on the mainstream media's internet outlet. We try to give you that portion you're not readily going to see from the mainstream media. But there's a lot of fun to be had too. And I spent a lot of years as a jazz/lounge singer, something I want to go back to, but I'm just getting my hand back into it with In the Lounge with David Krayden. That's where I sing some of my favorite songs from the Great American Songbook. Night and day, you are the one. Show tunes, great jazz classics made famous by artists like Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett, Andy Williams, Bing Crosby, and we could go on. I also talk about some of these, how these recordings were made and some of the background behind the original recordings and the original artists. So In the Lounge is my bit of real frivolity and fun, but I think it's also interesting and it's just as meaningful. So I want you to join Krayden's Right, be a subscriber, click that bell, click that subscribe button. We are a going concern. We're getting bigger by the day, and we just want to keep growing, and we want your support to do that. So please join us here at Krayden's Right. because I don't think you're going to be disappointed.